I know. I told Twyla I haven't read it all, but I just.
Probably should do the same thing to make sure I've got mine on silent. I would just die.
Especially considering the tunes I have. Wait for Gina.
How's that?
Sorry.
How's that, Twyla?
Mark getting his.
Bring the meeting to order. Would you please rise for the
April
pledge?
3, 2012.
Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Twyla.
Counselor Bowie?
Here.
Counselor Bickford?
Here.
Counselor Ward?
Here.
Counselor Pomelo?
Here.
Counselor La Rochelle?
Here.
Counselor Mason?
Here.
Counselor Lunt?
Here.
If all possible, I'd like to move the executive sessions to the front, if all council is in agreement to that, so we can get that done and get Roger home and away. I don't believe there's a vote on that, but if all in favor, we'll do that, Twyla.
Okay. The order 2012-40 to go into executive session per 1 MRSA, Section 405, 6E, consultations with legal counsel, and Section 405, 6D, labor negotiations.
So move.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Order passed, 7-0.
We'll be leaving just briefly. We're going to go into the other room for executive session so we can get Roger home. We shouldn't take us too long, and we'll be back shortly. No, free
She's down
pass.
there, she's down there hugging Roger.
Lisa should be back shortly.
Tape recorders are on.
Are you all set? I apologize for the delay, and now we can move forward. Twyla?
First item was public hearing. There is none. The audience participation is next. At this time, those in the audience who wish to address the council may come forward. Please use the microphone at the podium. State your name and address for the record.
Larry?
Larry Fillmore from Lisbon. I would like to know in what computer system has Mr. Van Tynen stored or uploaded the reevaluation information for the first year. Mr. Van Tynen has told me personally that he will not utilize the TRIO program. And if we're paying him to do the reevaluation and he's putting it on his own computers, and he leaves or we don't renew his contract, all that information is going to be gone, and we will have wasted about $80,000. So we need to know if he is updating TRIO. Second thing, why in last year's budget was there approximately $29,555 designated for professional development, and this year there's an increase of $17,750, which means this year the professional development will be $47,750. Why are the taxpayers paying for an administrative assistant to pursue a degree as a paralegal? There are no positions requiring a paralegal in the town of Lisbon that I am aware of. Why is it that in last year's budget the town allocated $77,221.75 for retirement? And so far this year, the year to date is $66,129.43, with 90 days left in this year, and then turning around and budgeting for $107,000 for next year. This is an increase of approximately $29,778.25 for next year. Are we really trying to pad the undesignated fund that much? And the last thing I have is, why is grant match listed under contingency when everything in this line item pertains to the police department? Police liability is listed under general government insurance. All of these items that pertain solely to the police department. So why are they not under the police budget, police portion of the budget? Are we concealing the total cost of operating our police department? Thank you.
I'm Don Fellows from Fairview Drive in Lisbon. I'm hoping to take about 2 minutes and no more than that. As a member of the Planning Board, I'd like to take the opportunity to speak briefly about the future of the town. The Lisbon Planning Board has been working on some ideas for getting a better direction for the future growth, as well as for economic development of the town. As you know, we have worked with a certified planner and with Scott Benson, our economic developer. And as some of you are aware, we have an idea that would seek public input over the course of the next year or so, and with professional planning help would develop some overall plans for the town. We could then begin to make some important and positive changes for our community. This idea will take some hard work on the part of the planning board, on the part of the town staff, and most importantly, on the part of the citizens of the town. We hope that everyone becomes an enthusiastic supporter. In the meantime, there are some business needs that need to be taken care of so that we can move forward unencumbered with unfinished matters. These should be completed before we begin. The first you have before you tonight, which is part of the work of the Planning Board, has been doing on rezoning changes. The first reading on realignment of the Diversified Development District to incorporate the old LES and the property across from Open Door Bible Church. This has been thoroughly worked over the last 6 weeks or so, and I hope that you see fit to move it on. The second, we have also worked on plans for the Route 9 corridor. While there must be a change to the comprehensive plan in order to make any changes in that zoning, we think that action needs to be taken here. Currently, the area known as Rural Open Space 1 District permits business activity except those operated under the guidelines of home occupations and those related to agricultural uses. But we have and have had businesses along Route 9 within ROS 1 that have been there for many years. The town has collected taxes from some of these businesses and cannot continue to have it both ways. We either must outlaw these businesses and take action to have them cease operations, or we must find a way to acknowledge that what is already there. We on the Planning Board, in trying to develop zoning to correct these issues, are running into some controversy. Spot zoning has been mentioned as a problem for one Planning Board proposal, and that solution, and may I emphasize, may have some merit. Therefore, some of us are uncomfortable with the plan. What we do know is that under Maine law, whatever is sanctioned must be in the comprehensive plan in more general terms. We may have appeared to get the cart in front of the horse, so to speak, on this one, but we have always planned and had always been scheduled to have a public discourse, a formal hearing on the matter. That hearing is scheduled for the 26th of April, right here. We very much hope to get everyone concerned with the development of Route 9 to come out. We have re-invited several people that were already formally notified, and we do expect, if they are interested, for the room to fill up rapidly. So there's a move afoot, and we may move the location from here to another location. We've attempted to get room at LCS, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. Third, let me say a couple of words about spot zoning. In general terms, reference manuals and courts have defined the process of singling out a small parcel of land for use classification totally different from that of the surrounding area for the benefit of the owner of such property and the detriment of others. I can tell you that as of a conversation I had this very day with a legal representative from Maine Municipal Association, in the view of MMA, we are probably not intending to spot zone, but that we may be best served in the Route 9 area by creating either an overlay zone or a separate zone. Finally, I'm speaking for the Planning Board as Vice Chair when I say that we do wish to help the town develop the future and do not wish to be a source of controversy or public outcry. We are part of the town. We want to be better informed by the rest of the citizenry. We hope that you can help us move forward in that direction, first by passing on this first reading, and then by encouraging attendance at our Planning Board meeting hearing on the 26th, and by considering our future development activities. Thanks.
Roger Cody, Lisbon. 1975, Lisbon adopted zoning in the town. As we moved it forward, we encouraged people on the appeals board and the planning board, go to Augusta and be trained properly in zoning laws. What we've done so far in the last couple of years is completely against everything I personally was taught. Spot zoning, in my opinion, 2 or 3 times in the last 2 years. When we did the comprehensive plan, I sat in on the steering committee. Several nights, we were told, do not develop the land over the aquifer. The town should purchase that and protect it. That is the only water that you have for this town. In my opinion, we spot zoned it, and we're now developing it. We have businesses scattered all over the town. Why have we not had code enforcement take care of it? Instead, we're going to forgive them all. What about the young couple that wants to build a porch on their house, and we came in to the Board of Appeals and we said, no, you're a foot too close to the line. You're not 25 feet from the road. Did we change the zoning for them? People that want to build a garage, and we'd sit here at night and we'd tell them, no, you can't have a garage, it's too close to the line. You don't have enough property. Did we change the zoning for them? No. But if your pockets are deep, we'll change your zoning for you. If you know the right people, we'll change the zoning for you. This is not what we should be sending out there to the people of our town. And if that is what is going to be in the future, God help you. Thank you.
Dot.
Dot Fitzgerald, School Street, Lisbon Falls. I might as well put in my 2 cents worth, too. I do agree that we need growth in the town. I can't see why it's in the budget that you plan on paying $20,000 for a planner when we have a development director that should be doing that. There are development directors out there that are qualified to do both. Why weren't we looking to hire one that was qualified and capable to do both? We're paying the development director good money, and we're going to spend another $20,000 for a planner? To me, that's wrong. I speak out mostly to inform the citizens of the town that do not attend the meetings, but are watching it on TV. I'm on the budget committee. I have my budget books. The council, town manager, I don't know who, is planning on giving all town employees a 2% wage increase this year. This is a time when we're having dwindling income, dwindling resources, and you people are spending money like there's no tomorrow. I don't get it. Why don't we settle down the budget, reduce the excess spending, the professional development is, I've been going through the books, and the money that's been allocated for professional development, and I'm only up to the fire department, isn't even, most of the departments aren't even half spent, and you're increasing them by doubling and sometimes tripling the development. The, what did I just say? The professional development. Why not wait until we have more resources, more income, before we spend more money?
Any other takers for audience participation? Seeing none, we'll close that. Next item, Twyla?
Is under consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have an item removed may do so now.
Actually, just one before that. We actually have the responses for the audience
Oh, it's a
participation.
new-
Yeah, a new item.
It's new. Aha.
There's been a request over a period of time for us to actually respond back to audience participation, which in the past we really haven't had a line for that, but we do now. And our intent is that this is we can't answer every question, because a lot of times we just don't have the answers for it, and sometimes there's not a good answer for some of the questions, but we're going to try to respond back to them, because if people take the time to come up and ask questions, we want to try to do the best we can. Going back to our last meeting's questions, Mr. Fillmore had a few questions, and the first one was was involved in the idea of, as a council, of us actually having our town manager and legal representative looking at the request for the Freedom of Information request. I took some time over the last week to go in, and I met with Twyla like I was going to actually fulfill one of these out, because I haven't had to go in and do a request, so I figured I'd try to see how it worked out. Got all the paperwork to fill one out, because there is a form that you need to fill. With this, it's really important that people understand that, and we do take them seriously in town, and we have a really good process in place for doing that. First, people would go in and actually see Twyla and get a form to fill out, so we have a written request. From that request, I mean, it does go to our manager. And if the manager has a concern whether or not if the request has legal bearing on the town, it will go to our attorney. And from there, it could be a simple request that actually goes right from our town manager to a department head. Then the department head that the request actually could be filled out from would put that information together, or at least to see if it's available. In a case that it is a sensitive matter, that would actually, and typically most sensitive matters actually have personnel information behind them, or just personal information that would be sensitive to anybody if it got out. Those requests, they have a 5-day window to actually come back and actually either approve or deny the idea of that request, not so much get that request out. So I guess the answer to that question is it does go to our manager and to our legal, because that's really the process that we have in place. And really, that's what we pay them for. The quote that I kind of wrote down big questions on, live in town, out of town, you know, with the understanding what they do, being the manager and legal, being outside of town may be a benefit to us, because they actually don't have a personal connection in town. Whether it be a conflict of interest with they're in town, I really don't know. But that's what we pay them for. I mean, that is a process. So to answer that question, I mean, there is a process we go through, and the town manager and legal is part of that process to make sure that that it's done correctly. The town spends a lot of resources on the Freedom of Information Act. I mean, so far this year, through legal and through using our resources, we've spent well over $10,000 with that process. So it is something that the town does use a lot of resources for. Our resources are getting smaller and smaller every year. So every time a request comes through, it's just not one individual. We're using resources through the whole town. There's a minimum of 3 people that usually get affected by a request. So again, it is a serious matter. I mean, it is something the town spends a lot of money trying to fulfill the requests. You know, we've had quite a few of them this year, but I think we do a good job. And you know, and Steve, being the manager and our legal, will typically be part of most of those if they come through, just to make sure that we're fulfilling our needs. The second question that he had was on the budget referendum. He kind of wanted to know, Larry had asked if we could actually do an update on it. Larry, the one meeting you were here, I had to go back and look through the minutes to make sure that was the time, we actually did speak about it a little bit that meeting. It was in the minutes. I went back to make sure Twyla had put it in. And basically what we had mentioned, that the council had come to a decision that we were having our legal put together an ordinance, put together a recommendation for the charter change. And once that was, we were going to give them the time frame of while we're going through the budget process. And then once that was put together, we were going to have a few discussions and workshops on how that would look. Our intent was to try to put something together without actually having a charter commission reassigned. So again, we spoke about that before. There's probably not going to be a lot of updates at this point in time, because we're probably really not going to get that involved into it until we're done our budget season, because as of tonight, we pretty much get in full gear on the budget, and that's going to be pretty much in every week until that gets done. There was a question on the Feeney loan, exactly where we were with that. Did some research with Steve, and just to let people know, the council has been really up to date on all these situations coming up. One of the reasons that the Feeney loan was not actually listed on our loan list is it really wasn't a loan. It was actually a unique circumstance that that really didn't fit into any criteria. It didn't actually ever go through the proper steps of being an official town loan. There's no question about it. There was a check made to an individual, and it was cash. I mean, money went out. Now we're just trying to figure out through legal how we can actually try to get that back. Was it approved? Did it go through the process? Absolutely not. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that we're working through. It wasn't on that list because it doesn't fit the criteria of being on the list you're looking for. I'm not sure if that's the answer that works for you, but that's kind of the answer for that I have. The ordinances, there was a question on the ordinances, which ones do we work with and which ones we don't? That's a tough one. The downfall that we have is that we have a town that, as Mr. Cody said, we actually put in place, back in, you actually had, what was it, 75 you actually mentioned? Zoning. Long before this management team and long before this council, there's been a lot of concerns with that. So there's no easy button to hit to solve that problem. I can tell you that we are working on it. We're trying to do everything we can. It is hard to be fair and equal. It really is. You know what I mean? And is there a good answer? I don't really know. I'd like to have one if we could. But as a council and as management, we are working to try to figure out how that works. There's no question about it. The end game needs to be that we come up with a simple solution that's going to work and it's going to be fair for all the people in town. But unfortunately, we can't go back overnight and correct what's been going on for a long time. So the answer is, I hope that everybody obeys all the ordinances they can, and definitely we are trying to actually make that work. And that was it. We're going to try to do this every week if we can, if there's direct questions that we can answer, but I got to be honest, there's probably some questions we just won't be able to answer. Thank you. Next item, Twyla.
Okay, consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have an item removed may do so now. Seeing none, order 2012-38 to approve a renewal liquor license for Angelo's Pizzeria and the minutes of March 20th, 2012.
So move.
Second it.
All those in favor of the consent?
Order passed, 7-0.
Next item.
Under Council Orders, Resolutions, and Ordinances, Order 2012-17, proposed zone change, Gartley Street from General Residential District to Diversified Development District, as presented. First reading, roll call vote required.
Make a motion to accept it.
Second it.
As Mr. Fellows mentioned earlier, we've actually been through quite a few workshops on this and kind of beat it around left and right and up and down. I think there's been a lot of time spent writing this ordinance and trying to make sure that it all fits within the guidelines that we have to our best judgment. And is there any questions from council that you have not already been answered or would like to talk about any more? Seeing that, what I'd like to do is have a vote since it's been moved and seconded on the ordinance
Roll
as
call.
written.
Okay. Counselor Bowie?
Yay.
Counselor Bickford?
Yay.
Counselor Ward?
Yay.
Counselor Pomelo?
Yes.
Counselor La Rochelle?
Yes.
Counselor Mason?
I'd like to recuse myself because I have a past association with Open Door.
And Counselor Lunt?
Yay.
Okay. 6 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention. Order passed.
Thank you. Next item, Twyla.
Under other business, town manager's report.
Don't have a heck of a lot. There's, Public Works is working diligently to trying to clean up all the sand throughout the parking lots and throughout all our streets. They have a lot of work ahead of them. We used a lot of sand and salt this past year. Verla is working on our gardens. If you look around some of the gardens that you see, there's a lot going on there, and they're looking real good, and we can't wait for them to start to blossom a little bit. Dispatch, if you got a chance to read the paper this morning, there were several articles on the front page about Lewiston and Auburn's position on the dispatch situation that we're looking at. On the inside of the Sun Journal, on the city section, there was an article that Charlie Noonan wrote, and all the managers have been involved, have input into that. And that's going to be sent on to the commissioners with recommendations from quite a few towns that want to come here to do their dispatch. There's a meeting tomorrow with the county commissioners. They have a workshop from 11 to 1:30. It's all going to be about dispatch. Their meeting starts at 1:30 after their workshop, and they'll be discussing dispatch more. And then after that meeting, they'll still be discussing dispatch more. So I will be at some of that discussion just to follow through what's going on. But hopefully they come to a decision soon. That would be nice. And then hopefully it works in our favor. That's it.
Could you touch base on where you were before the meeting? To Sabatis?
Oh, I was going to let Lisa talk about that.
Okay,
Great,
no
thank
problem.
you. I had the opportunity, along with our town manager and our fire chief, Chief Gallipo, to attend the beginning of the Sabatis Selectmen's meeting tonight, where they honored Deputy Chief Mark Vayu for saving the life and much of the property of the Voisines. It was really touching. It was, the Voisines were there. They were extremely grateful. The town of Sabatis was very grateful. And I felt fortunate to be there to represent for Lisbon and the council, because Mr. Vayu really performed a selfless act that I think is representative of the way a lot of people feel about our close-knit communities. And the towns of Sabatis and Green and the other surrounding towns are close to us. So it was really an honor to be able to be there. So.
Thank you. That's it. Twyla, next item.
There are no appointments. Councilor Communications.
Council Communications.
I'm all set.
All good?
All set?
All set?
That's Lisa.
I got to go to the Recreation Committee meeting. I think that it's moving along really well this year, and it looks really positive. I think everybody on that committee is so dedicated to the youth and the seniors in our town, and it was really great to see everybody pulling together to reorganize and really make a strong committee, and it was a really interesting meeting. It was good, very good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I, tonight, before this meeting, attended the Facilities Planning Committee meeting at the high school. And it was one of the first meetings that I've attended in quite some time of this committee. And they actually did a really nice job giving an overview of their 5-year progress. It was a plan that they established a couple of years ago, but they gave us some updates on the projects that they've completed and some of the upcoming plans that they have. One of the exciting things that I took from this meeting, and Don Fellows was there and heard me say this, is that about 6 years ago, through the advisory board, we talked with the school department about coming up with plans, both on the school side and the municipal side, where we could fund some of our repair and maintenance and not always have to be going out to referendum and get monies from different places, but be able to do that within our budgets. And the accomplishments are starting to be seen now for the work that's been done over, say, the last 2 to 3 years, where projects are actually getting done using the money that's in the in the budgets that we build on a yearly basis. So I don't want to take the thunder away from them, because they have a plan to have a public forum, if you will, where they're going to talk about in an informational session what they've already accomplished and what they're going to be doing going forward. But some of the things that I thought that I could share now is, like tonight out of the meeting, we came up with a recommendation that the Facilities Committee goes to the school board and makes a recommendation that they go forward with what they're calling Phase 2, Option 1. They have a water heater issue at the high school. The water heater is leaking. It needs to be replaced. And so they came up with this plan and got some quotes in and around that. So that work will be done with some monies that they already have. In addition, there's going to be doing a lighting project at the Lisbon Community School, which will actually pay for itself in under a year, both with energy grants that they have got the paperwork ready to submit. They've got paperwork or an application in for the Efficiency Main program, and so they're going to be changing fluorescent lighting to more energy-efficient lighting, and I think it's pretty remarkable that essentially all of that upgrade that they're going to be doing to the tune of about $8,000 will pay for itself with the money that they'll get back in grants and the energy savings and the Efficiency Main tax credits that they get, so that would be paying for itself. Again, I'd like to say that I think that they've done a remarkable job looking to spend the money that they have already planned for in their budget. They're not coming to us, the council, they're not going to the school board, asking for additional monies that needs to be raised through, taxation and that type of stuff. So I think they've done a good job. They should probably better be able to explain some of the projects that are already completed and the ones going forward, but it seems to be a pretty responsible plan that they have in order to get the stuff done that needs to get done to improve our buildings. One of the things I will say that was said towards the end of the meeting is some of the repairs that they're doing are things that have needed to be done for a long time, and we may not be able to see that from the outside of the building, like the facade of the high school, because some of the work that they're doing is in the boiler room. There isn't really anything sexy about a boiler room, but it is something that needs to be done. So they'll give us a tour if we want one. So, thank you.
It's fun, isn't it?
It is fun.
It's really fun attending a group in a meeting that actually has a goal, and actually that's what they do every meeting, is try to strive for that goal. So they have
And they
done
did a
quite bit.
fabulous job.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I do, I guess. We had a Moxie meeting today, and Twyla and I attended, and we're gearing up for Moxie. It's not too many months away, and we're working on volunteers right now, so any counselors or businesses or community organizations that would like to be part of that, be a volunteer for Moxie, we would love to have you. Lisbon Falls Baptist Church has been dedicated, helping us for the past several years. They have had many volunteers for us, and they're planning to do the same again this year. And also, we're working with the Interact Club, and they might be doing some volunteering for us. But we have many, many other positions to fill, so if there's anybody, and I'm not looking at any particular people.
Just all of us, right?
Just all of you, yes. And if you're willing to just give a few hours, we know what Moxie does for our town. We have Deb Wagner, who used to work in Manhattan, New York City, and she's a PR person, and she does an excellent job getting Moxie information into worldwide publications, and she's doing the same this year. We have our yearly T-shirt program that was done through the art students, and that T-shirt is available, and it will be up online, and it is for sale, and I think
$15 for,
yeah, 15 for adults and 10 for children, and that does benefit Moxie and the town. And just, it's looking like a great festival again this year, so.
I just want to add that.
Yeah, one more thing I didn't mention. I'd like to thank the National Honor Society and our finance director for the egg hunt. If you have an opportunity to go on to the Sun Journal and see the egg hunt that took place this past Sunday, it's amazing the number of kids that participated in that and the excitement that was going on at the MTM Park, and it was fun to watch. I didn't get a chance to go there, but it was people were lined up with their children. The kids were just all excited about this, and it was fun. And you got rid of almost all your eggs except for one bag, so they found them all. But they had a great time, and Jessica spearheaded that with the National Honor Society, and they were here in the building stuffing plastic eggs and having a lot of fun. So it was pretty neat to see. Good participation.
Mark, go ahead.
I'd just like to reiterate what Don Fellows said earlier and encourage everyone who lives on Route 9 to come out to that next planning board meeting on the 26th and just tell the planning board however you feel about it, whatever side of the issue you're on, just let them know how you feel so that they can get a good idea of what the people who live there want for a neighborhood.
Thank you. Everybody else set? I'll just add a couple things. One, and it goes back to Verilla with the gardens. I've talked to her a little bit. Matter of fact, I was hoping to help her this Saturday with some of the cleanup she was doing, but I ended up working. which I was kind of bummed because I had to run out for parts, and everywhere as you drove around, there was people working in gardens, and she has quite a group of people that is helping, but she's also herself putting in many hours, Saturdays, and I've even heard of Sundays possibly, people out working around in the garden. So there's quite a buzz going on trying to get those taken care of, and I want to thank you for heading that up. I think it's going to be a good start to this year, and I'm sure you're still taking any volunteers that will help with the gardens and the cleanups, because it's a big project, but it's part of making our town look good, and I do thank you for that. One of the things I do want to add to the Moxie, one of the things that you do realize when you start looking at the Moxie, I mean, it doesn't benefit just the town as a whole. It really benefits a lot of individual organizations. And right before the recreation meeting last night, Mark was having a meeting because they're doing a car show this year, which they're trying to revamp from years past. And it's really neat to see the ideas of what's coming out. And the Moxie car show is going to help fund some of the projects and programs that Mark has with the senior program. So it's money for the town to keep bringing money back in, so the programs can be somewhat self-funded and not rely on tax dollars. The other thing I really want to emphasize, and I know Dot came up and she was very passionate about some of the spending, is we haven't spent any money on this year's budget yet. I mean, it's something we are just starting on, and there's a lot of recommendations that come forward with this year's budget. And if people read in the paper, the article was in the paper, I mean, the council does have quite a job this year looking at that budget and figuring out how our expenses are going to fit within our revenues, and it's going to be a tough year. Tonight's the first of many nights we'll be getting together to try to figure out the budget. It's not going to be easy, but I just want to make sure everybody in town knows that, we're here to try to figure out the best way to do it. And none of us want to spend more money on taxes, but we do know that, we have to make the town keep moving forward, provide the services that the town needs. And how we do that, I think that's why we were elected, to try to figure that out along with the advisory board, and I think we'll do a good job. So tonight will be as the games begin, we'll see how this works out. Is there anything else from council for communications? If not, Twyla, next.
Is to adjourn to a workshop. Order 2012-42.
So move.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Order passed 7-0.
We're going to take about 5 minutes, and then we're going to start on the workshop.